You've always felt it, haven't you? That subtle, persistent hum beneath the surface of everyday life, a quiet observation from the periphery while others are swept up in the current. It's that feeling of seeing the intricate gears turning behind the grand illusion, of noticing the faint echoes in a room long after the sound has faded. While most people are chasing external validation, external noise, external stimuli, the next big thrill, the loudest laugh, the most visible achievement, you're often dissecting the subtext, sensing the underlying currents almost like you're operating on a different frequency. This isn't about being better or worse. It's about being profoundly different. And here's the thing nobody talks about. That difference isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. A powerful, often misunderstood, and deeply sophisticated feature. You've probably spent years trying to reconcile this inner world with the expectations of an outer world that often seems to speak a different language. You might have tried to force yourself to be louder, more outwardly enthusiastic, more easily distracted by the shiny, superficial aspects of life. But deep down, there's always been that core, that quiet knowing that your processing is simply different. What you are about to understand today changes completely the way you see your own inner world, your unique strengths, and your irreplaceable place within the intricate, often chaotic dance of human interaction. It's not just an explanation. It's a profound revelation about the very fabric of your psychology, woven into the deepest parts of your being. For so long, society has presented a relatively narrow ideal of what it means to be well-adjusted, successful, and engaged. It's often packaged as someone who is extroverted, perpetually optimistic, always seeking the next big thing, quick to speak, and outwardly expressive. If you don't fit that mold, if your energy ebbs in crowded rooms, or if your thoughts demand quiet contemplation rather than immediate articulation, it's incredibly easy to internalize the message that you're an outlier, that you're somehow broken, or that something is inherently wrong with you. You might even have tried to fix yourself, to conform to a norm that simply doesn't resonate with your true nature. But this is where it gets interesting and profoundly liberating. That feeling of being an outsider, that sense of seeing things differently, doesn't mean you are strange. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In fact, it often means quite the opposite. It points to a distinct, neurologically based way of processing information, emotion, and social cues. The popular narrative often suggests we all operate on the same basic psychological operating system, just with slightly different preferences or apps. But the truth, supported by decades of psychological and neurological research, is that there are fundamental, structural differences in how our brains are wired, differences that dictate how we experience and interact with reality. These aren't defects or flaws. They are natural variations in the human neurological landscape, as valid and essential as variations in physical appearance, talent, or personality. You are not miscalibrated. You are simply calibrated to a different, perhaps more nuanced, frequency. Let's dive into one of these foundational differences, a concept that often resonates deeply with people like you. Consider the idea of sensory processing sensitivity, often popularized as highly sensitive people or HSPs. While the term might sound niche or even delicate, research pioneered by Dr. Elaine Aron and her colleagues has shown that a significant portion of the population, estimated to be around 15–20%, possesses a nervous system that processes information more deeply, more thoroughly, and more subtly than the majority. This isn't about being fragile or easily overwhelmed, though those can be side effects in an overstimulating world. It's fundamentally about a depth of processing. When most people might glance at a painting and register its general impression, someone with high sensory processing sensitivity might absorb every brushstroke, every color nuance, every subtle texture, and every complex emotion evoked by the artist. They notice the ambient hum in a seemingly quiet room, the subtle shift in a friend's tone that others miss, the intricate details of a conversation that others might gloss over entirely. Their brains are simply wired to register and reflect on more data, to perceive the world with a higher resolution, if you will. This sounds contradictory, but this heightened awareness, while sometimes overwhelming in a loud, fast-paced world, allows for an extraordinary capacity for empathy, intuition, creativity, and a profoundly rich inner life. And neuroscience explains why. Studies using fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, have shown increased activation in brain regions associated with attention, empathy, emotional processing, and even consciousness in individuals identified as highly sensitive. They literally have more active neural pathways for deep processing, for integrating information across multiple sensory and emotional channels. They don't just see the tree. They see the bark, the leaves, the intricate network of roots, the way the light filters through the canopy, and feel the history embedded in its rings. If you've ever felt like you consistently notice things others miss, or that you delve deeper into thoughts and feelings than those around you, or that you're disproportionately affected by your environment, then you are likely one of these individuals. Understanding these unique wiring patterns is exactly what we explore on this channel, uncovering insights for those of us who think, feel, and experience the world a little differently, seeking to truly understand the profound depths of human psychology. Join us in this exploration by subscribing and uncover more about the fascinating architecture of your own mind and how to harness its unique power. Now let's peel back another layer, looking at the hidden neurological mechanisms that shape our default modes and influence our motivation. Consider dopamine, often colloquially labeled as the pleasure chemical. But that's a vast oversimplification. Dopamine is fundamentally about motivation and seeking. It drives us towards novel experiences, towards rewards, towards goals, and crucially, it reinforces behaviors that lead to those perceived rewards. For most people, the brain's reward circuitry is heavily tuned to external validation and immediate, tangible gratification. Social praise, material acquisition, constant external stimulation, the quick hits of social media likes, the thrill of constant novelty. Their brains build powerful habit loops around these external cues. Each like, each new purchase, each moment of being the center of attention, each burst of external excitement reinforces those pathways, creating a powerful, almost unconscious feedback loop that keeps them chasing the next external high. But for people like you, the reward system often finds its deepest satisfaction not in the superficial external, but in the internal. In profound understanding, in quiet reflection, in genuine connection, in the mastery of a complex idea, in the creation of something meaningful, or in the serene beauty of the natural world. Your brain isn't necessarily getting the same dopamine hit from the external rat race, from the constant clamor for attention, or the relentless pursuit of fleeting pleasures. This means you might find large social gatherings draining, not because you dislike people, but because your brain isn't wired to derive the same type of reward from the sheer volume of superficial, often surface-level, interaction. You might feel a subtle craving for depth, for substance, for meaning that the external world doesn't always readily provide. This can feel isolating, almost like you're missing out on some fundamental human drive, or that you're somehow less engaged. But it's just your brain prioritizing different forms of cognitive and emotional reward. It's a subtle difference, yet one that has profound implications for how you navigate your life, often making you feel like you're swimming against a strong, invisible current. This is more serious than it seems because it dictates your innate drivers, your deepest sense of purpose and satisfaction, often without your conscious awareness, guiding your choices and shaping your identity in ways you might not fully grasp yet. It's not a lack of drive, but a drive towards a different kind of fulfillment. Let's draw a clear line between two distinct psychological profiles that often stand in subtle contrast, illuminating the inherent differences in human processing. On one side, we have what we might call the external processor, someone whose thoughts often crystallize and become clear through external interaction. They think by talking, by doing, by actively engaging outwards. Their insights emerge as they articulate them, bouncing ideas off others, receiving immediate feedback. Their energy is often generated and recharged through engagement with the world and with other people. Their path to clarity is often paved with action, outward expression, and social interaction. This profile makes perfect sense in a fast-paced, interconnected, and highly social world, and it's often the archetype celebrated by popular culture. On the other side, we have the internal architect, individuals whose deepest insights, most profound connections, and clearest thoughts are forged in the quiet forge of their own minds. They process information, sift through complex emotions, and construct intricate ideas internally, often needing solitude, contemplation, and time to reach clarity. Their energy is frequently depleted by excessive external stimulation and subsequently recharged through withdrawal and introspection. They don't need to talk to think, they need to think to talk. Their ideas are often fully formed before they are expressed, rich with nuance and careful consideration. Both profiles are entirely valid, entirely functional, and both possess their unique strengths. An external processor might be excellent at brainstorming in groups, quick to adapt to new social situations, and energized by public speaking. An internal architect might be brilliant at problem-solving complex issues, crafting eloquent arguments, and creating profound works of art or literature, thriving in environments that demand deep focus and independent thought. But society often valorizes the external processor, creating an environment where the internal architect might feel pressured to operate against their natural grain, leading to exhaustion, self-doubt, and a feeling of not quite fitting in. If you're watching this, chances are you resonate more deeply with the internal architect. You find yourself retreating to process, to understand, to synthesize, rather than needing constant external input to orient yourself. You might even find yourself observing social dynamics as if you're watching a play, meticulously analyzing the motivations and interactions, rather than always being a lead actor. You're not necessarily shy. You're simply processing the world with a different operating system. And this fundamental difference in processing mode shapes everything from your friendships to your career choices, to how you seek meaning and find your sense of self. It's a profound distinction, often overlooked, but critical to understanding your unique place in the world. Now let's talk about empathy, a cornerstone of human connection, but one that manifests and is allocated differently across these psychological landscapes. For many, empathy is broadly distributed, a general warmth, a collective concern, a feeling of connection to a wide circle of acquaintances or societal issues. They might feel a generalized sense of concern for global problems or a surface-level connection with many people they meet. This is a vital social glue, allowing for harmonious group dynamics and a sense of community. But for people like you, the internal architect, empathy often runs deeper and is allocated more intensely. You might not have a wide circle of casual acquaintances. Your social sphere might be smaller, but your bonds with a select few are often profound, almost telepathic. You don't just understand what someone is saying. You often feel what they are feeling, anticipating their unspoken needs, absorbing their emotional resonance, experiencing their joy or pain almost as if it were your own. This intense empathic capacity, while a superpower for forging deep, meaningful connections and offering profound support, can also be incredibly draining. It necessitates selective engagement, careful boundary setting, and periods of solitude to protect your emotional energy from becoming overwhelmed. This deep empathic processing intertwines intimately with identity and self-esteem. When you feel things so intensely, when you perceive the nuances of every interaction, external validation can feel disproportionately powerful, both in its affirmation and its absence. If you don't receive the deep, nuanced understanding you often offer, if your subtle signals are missed or your insights are dismissed, It can feel like a profound rejection, not just of an idea or an emotion, but of your very essence, of who you are at your core. The sting of misunderstanding can be far more acute for you than for someone with a less permeable emotional boundary. But here's the crucial validation, something you need to hear and truly internalize. Your depth of feeling, your capacity for intense, nuanced empathy, isn't a weakness to be overcome. It is a profound strength, a finely tuned instrument for understanding the human condition that few possess to the same degree. Your value isn't measured by how widely you distribute your attention or how many superficial connections you accumulate, but by the depth with which you connect, the richness of your internal world, and your unique capacity to truly see, feel, and understand the intricate layers of existence. You are inherently valuable, not because of what you achieve or how others perceive you, but because of the rich, intricate tapestry of your inner world and your unique capacity to truly see and feel the world around you. This depth is your compass, your guide, and your silent gift to those fortunate enough to truly connect with you. Where do these deep-seated psychological preferences, these unique ways of processing and feeling, truly come from? It's easy to assume they're just who you are, a fixed, immutable trait you were born with, like eye color. But the truth is, many of our deepest psychological settings, especially those that make us feel different or like an outsider, have invisible origins rooted in our past experiences. They often form as elegant, albeit sometimes inconvenient, adaptations to the environments we navigated, particularly in our formative years. Perhaps there was a time in your life early on where your sensitivity, your deep thoughts, or your nuanced observations were met with misunderstanding, dismissal, or even outright rejection. Maybe your attempts at deep connection were met with blank stares, impatience, or were simply overlooked, leading you to retreat and cultivate your rich inner world as a sanctuary, a place where your thoughts and feelings could be safely explored without judgment. The exclusion or feeling of being too much you might have experienced wasn't a flaw in you, but a fundamental mismatch in environment, in the understanding capacity of those around you. This can lead to a state of hyperconsciousness, an acute awareness of social dynamics, subtle cues, and unspoken expectations. You learn to read the room not just for social grace, but often for self-preservation, to anticipate potential misunderstandings, or to navigate complex emotional landscapes. You developed a finely tuned radar for authenticity, for unspoken truths, for the discrepancies between what is said and what is truly felt. This sounds contradictory, but this hypervigilance, born from a primal need for defense and understanding in a world that didn't quite get you, transforms over time into an incredible asset for insight, discernment, and profound wisdom. It allows you to see the invisible threads connecting people and events, to understand the subtle forces at play. It's crucial to understand. This isn't a pathology, it's a sophisticated psychological adaptation. Your brain, in its infinite wisdom and incredible plasticity, found ways to protect itself and optimize its functioning based on the data it received from its environment. Your difference isn't a random anomaly or a defect. It's a testament to your system's incredible capacity to adapt, to learn, and to build a robust, self-sufficient internal world when the external one didn't quite provide the nuanced understanding, safety, or stimulation it needed. These past experiences, rather than defining you as broken or wounded, have forged a unique perceptive lens through which you now view the world, a lens that allows you to see layers others might miss, to feel depths others cannot fathom, and to navigate complexity with a quiet, powerful intelligence. You are not a victim of your past. You are the sophisticated product of its lessons. Given these fundamental differences in how our brains are wired, how we process information, and how we experience emotions, it's no surprise that people also seek meaning and purpose in vastly different ways. For many, meaning is found in the grand narratives of life: career progression, building a large family, accumulating visible achievements, participating in collective movements, or leaving a tangible mark on the external world. Their sense of purpose is often tied to external accomplishments, to the stories they can tell about their journey, to the recognition they receive. They are the active participants, the protagonists in a visible, external drama, often seeking to influence and be seen by the world at large. Their meaning is outwardly projected and outwardly validated. But for people like you, the internal architect, the search for meaning often takes a more introspective, nuanced, and perhaps less visible path. Your meaning might be found not in the grand narrative, but in the quiet act of creation, whether it's an idea, a piece of art, a garden, a perfectly crafted sentence, or a deeply insightful understanding of a complex system. It might be found in profound understanding, in connecting disparate ideas, in the intricate beauty of a natural phenomenon, or in the profound intimacy of a single, genuine, heartfelt conversation. You might feel more like a thoughtful observer, a quiet architect of your own inner world, diligently building and refining your understanding of existence, rather than a boisterous participant constantly seeking the spotlight in the external one. Your sense of purpose is often intrinsically driven, self-validated, and deeply personal. And here's the critical insight, something often missed in a world that glorifies external achievement. Neither approach is inherently superior. One isn't more real or meaningful or valuable than the other. They are simply different expressions of the timeless human quest for significance, reflecting the diverse and magnificent wiring of our minds. Your way of finding meaning, often subtle and internally focused, is no less valid, no less profound, and no less impactful than someone else's more outward-facing quest. In fact, in a world often blinded by surface-level achievements, your capacity for deep, intrinsic meaning-making is a powerful anchor. It simply operates on a different frequency, a different wavelength of human experience, one that allows for depth over breadth, nuance over spectacle, and authentic internal fulfillment over fleeting external applause. Your meaning is often quietly cultivated, like a rare and precious garden, for those who truly appreciate its subtle beauty. Let's now explore the concept of flow state, that immersive, almost magical experience where time seems to disappear, where you are completely absorbed in an activity, operating at the peak of your abilities with effortless concentration. For many, particularly the external processors we discussed, flow is often achieved through high-octane activities, competitive sports, intense team projects with dynamic interaction, exhilarating social engagements, or challenging adventures that demand constant external input and immediate response. The external world provides the stimuli, the challenge, the immediate feedback that pulls them into that zone, creating a powerful loop of engagement. Their presence and their sense of being fully alive are deeply tied to external interaction and dynamic, often highly visible, engagement. But for people like you, the internal architect, flow often emerges from a profoundly different kind of engagement. It's found in the quiet intensity of deep work, in the intricate puzzle of problem-solving, in the focused creation of art or writing, in the profound depths of reading a captivating book, or in the immersive experience of listening to complex music. Your flow state is often an internal journey, a dance between your conscious mind and the task at hand, largely free from external distractions and validation. It's a state where your inner world becomes so rich and consuming that the outer world fades into the background. Neuroscience explains why this is the case. Studies on flow show that specific brain regions associated with self-monitoring, critical judgment, and even the sense of a separate self quiet down during this state, allowing for effortless action, heightened focus, and a profound sense of intrinsic reward. For the internal architect, this state is often cultivated by deliberately minimizing external noise and maximizing internal coherence. You are more likely to find your deepest presence, your truest self, when you are operating on your own axis, driven by your intrinsic curiosity, your internal motivations, and the compelling draw of your inner world, rather than being pulled by the constantly shifting currents of the external world. You don't need the spotlight to feel present. You find presence in the quiet hum of your own focused awareness, in the deep connection to your chosen task, in the intricate unfolding of an idea. This isn't isolation. It's a profound self-sufficiency of consciousness, a powerful ability to create your own inner sanctuary of engagement and meaning. It's a testament to the fact that your source of vitality comes from within. So if you've resonated deeply with what we've discussed today, understand this truth and let it settle into the quiet core of your being. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. Your unique way of seeing, feeling, and processing the world isn't a deficit to be overcome. It is an extraordinary, often undervalued, advantage. In a world increasingly saturated with noise, with superficiality, with constant external demands and the relentless pressure to perform for an audience, your profound capacity for depth, for introspection, for genuine connection, and for rich internal processing is a silent superpower. It allows you to see patterns others miss, to feel truths others gloss over, to create meaning from within rather than needing it spoon-fed, and to navigate life with an authenticity that is both rare and invaluable. You possess a finely tuned instrument for understanding the subtle complexities of existence, a quiet strength that allows you to thrive on your own terms, often with a wisdom that far exceeds your years. Your richness, your vitality, and your profound sense of self come from within, not from what you consume, how loudly you project, or how much external approval you gather. Embrace this truth, for it is the core of who you are. The world doesn't need more echoes. It desperately needs more original frequencies, more unique perspectives, and more authentic voices. And you, my friend, are one of them. Find your calm in this knowledge, belong to the quiet revolution of deeply aware individuals, and live with the profound clarity that your difference is not a burden, but your greatest gift. It is the source of your unique power, your boundless creativity, and your capacity for a life of unparalleled depth and meaning. If these insights resonate with the unique way you navigate the world, and you wish to explore more profound psychological truths that validate and empower your experience, consider subscribing to this channel. We are building a sanctuary for minds that think differently, for souls that seek depth, and for hearts that understand the quiet power of simply being. Join our community, where your unique perspective is not just understood but celebrated, and where you'll find tools and insights to further cultivate your inner world and navigate the external one with grace and wisdom. We look forward to connecting with you. Until then, continue to embrace your extraordinary depth, for it is the wellspring of your most profound insights and your most authentic life. Live from that place of inner richness, and let your quiet strength illuminate your path forward. Trust that quiet intuition, for it will always lead you to your most authentic self and your most fulfilling experiences.